And good morning, YouTube, tubers. The Old Soldier coming at you from Robeson County, North Carolina, where it is about 50 some odd degrees, I think, outside. So we're already at our high for today, according to the forecast I was reading. Tomorrow is tomorrow morning is going to be a nail-biting, frigid day. So with that being said, during the summer I did a video on what to watch out for hot weather and heat-related injuries. So as we go on our lovely drive to my place of employment, this morning I've decided we're going to talk about cold weather injuries and prevention. Okay? The reason being is, just like hot weather injuries, if you're not paying attention, they can kind of creep up on you and bite you real hard in the rump. And that's the last thing you want to happen, because once it gets to that point where you're in that kind of mode because of the severity, consequences can be disastrous or even deadly. But if you've got to be out when it gets cold, folks, dress in layers. What I mean by that, have multiple layers to help keep you warm. But also, with that being said, if you're very, very, very physically active in the cold weather, you'll still have to ventilate your body. If you bundle up with a sweater, light windbreaker, a heavy coat, and you start to go, say, you rake the yard, you're going to start sweating. And that's one of the things that you don't want to do too much in cold weather, if you can help it, to start to sweat. Because as your layer of clothing that is in direct contact with your skin surface begins to absorb that, and it becomes damp and it becomes wet, and it creates a chill effect, especially once exposed to air, that makes it hard for your body to actually warm up and overcome. If it's windy outside, try to protect all exposed areas of your skin, because you can get what's called chilblains. It's kind of a type of windburn, just due to the cold and the wind, the friction blowing across your skin, drying it out, those kinds of things. Frostbite. When it gets below freezing and you've got exposed skin, you can get frostbite in that area. Hypothermia. Let's talk about hypothermia for a minute. That's the one that gets a lot of people, because it doesn't take long to set in, for one, and two, people sometimes ignore the initial signs and symptoms of hypothermia. But basically, that's where your body's core temperature starts to drop, and it's due to exposure, being outside too long without properly warming the body up, that kind of thing. Especially if it's wet, that seems to expedite the situation. So if you start to feel a little cool, a little chilled, take a moment, take a break, warm yourself up. Also, another one, dehydration. Somebody might think, well, dehydration, how does that really happen in cold weather? Believe it or not, more people dehydrate in cold weather than they do hot weather. And the reason behind that is, in cold weather, the body doesn't trigger the thirst mechanism, if you will, compelling you to drink more water. We know when it's hot, body triggers a thirst craving. Not so much so in the cold weather. So you need to force fluids, especially water, even in the cold weather, to remain properly hydrated. In other words, to keep your body functioning properly in cold weather. Some misnomers that still circulate to this day. If it's freezing cold outside, your hands are numb and cold, put them in running water, do not do that. You're only going to exasperate the situation. But I still hear that from time to time. Put your hands in running water, that'll warm them up. No, it will not. The only reason the water is running is by force of gravity, not because it's warmer than the ambient temperature. If anything, once you pull your hands out of that water, you're just sending more cold blood through your body. Don't rub snow on exposed skin thinking that's going to alleviate wind burns. I've heard that one before too. You need to warm up your hands or your feet. Place them under your armpits or in your groin. I don't mean to be graphic, but those are the two warmest spots on the human body. Just the way God designed them. But place your hands there. If you're with somebody and you're stranded and you're cold, wrap up together. Buddy heat. Okay? And no sexual connotation there, but sometimes, you need to hug another human being to stay warm. Okay? There's no shame in that. It can keep you from dying. Keep that in mind. Those are just some of the cold weather tips I can think of right now, folks. Like I said, it doesn't take much, like I said, for hypothermia to set in. You need to be cognizantly aware of that and conscious of it. Do everything you can to prevent it. Frostbite comes from extreme exposure, cold temperatures below freezing. And the worst part about frostbite is it's kind of like arthritis. Once you've got it, you know when the weather's getting cold, because once you have a case of frostbite, your body becomes more susceptible again, just like heat injuries. So try to avoid that if at all possible, folks. Again, I'm not saying that you can prevent everything from happening, but certainly you can mitigate the circumstances of the cause by taking appropriate precautions and dressing appropriately for the weather. Like I said too, dress in layers. The other reason for layers, if the weather starts to warm up a little bit, you can peel off a layer at a time. And what that does, it allows you still to remain protected, but keep you from overheating your body. Okay? And as the temperature drops again, you can add that layer back on. Like today, I'm wearing layers. I've got an outer wind coat on. Below that, I've got a soft shell fleece jacket on. I have a long sleeve polo, and underneath that I've got a t-shirt. Okay. Like I said, about 50 some odd degrees out here, and we're at our high for today according to the weather report I've seen. I might be a little overkill, but better safe than sorry. The other thing too is your feet. If you're doing a lot of walking, change your socks frequently. If your feet get wet or damp, you need to take your boots off, your shoes off, change your socks, dry your feet. If your inside of your shoes are wet, if at all possible, find shelter and get inside and let them naturally air dry. Don't put them too close to a heat source because that can damage the shoes. But try to get your shoes dried out. You can stuff old newspaper in them, old t-shirts, towels to absorb that internal moisture to get it out. One of the biggest things that got soldiers in trouble in World War II and World War I was not frostbite, but trench foot. And trench foot can occur in temperatures from freezing up to 60 degrees, believe it or not. And it's due to prolonged immersion in water. The technical name for it is immersion foot, but they called it trench foot. That's why also waterproofing your foot gear is utmost importance. If you wear leather footwear. You can keep them oiled and conditioned. That won't make them 100% waterproof, but it will make them water repellent. But sometimes that internal source too is you're doing too much and your feet begin to sweat. That's the first indication you need to stop, change your socks, dry your feet, powder them with a good foot powder that'll help absorb the sweat and keep your feet dry. There's nothing worse than being cold and wet. I used to tell people, or still tell them, I don't mind being cold, I don't mind being wet. I just don't like being cold and wet. I had 22 years of being miserable. I've got enough practice at that. I don't need to practice it anymore if I can help it. But yeah. Another thing, don't tie your shoes or your boots so tight that you're cutting off. Well, I'm not gonna say cut off circulation. Nobody should be doing that anyway. But don't over tighten your shoes. Okay. And the reason I say that, allow them enough where it's not hurting or binding as well. Some people try to lace their boots up as tight as normal when winter comes around, when they also add in extra socks, which there's nothing wrong with putting on 2 pairs of socks. Just remember, you don't need to try and lace your boots as tight because you get another layer on underneath there. But you want enough room you can wiggle your toes too. Keep blood flowing. That's the other thing about not lacing it too tight. You don't want to constrict the flow of blood to your feet, because then you start to lose feeling and sensation. And the next thing you know, you've got trench foot or you've got frostbite of your feet. You don't even know it. I've seen people do that. But if you want to keep your feet insulated and you want to put on 2 pairs of socks, this is what I'd recommend. You get a pair of thin dress socks put on first, and then you put on your heavy duty boot socks over that. Believe it or not, that will provide a measure of warmth. But it also helps prevent blisters too. When I used to go to the field, a lot of times I'd wear a pair of dress socks underneath my regular boot socks in the winter time. And it actually, it helped keep my feet a little bit warmer than normal. But yeah, with your foot gear, get you some mink oil or some boot grease. Follow the directions on the can on how to apply it to your boots. The waterproofing, that'll help too. Likewise, if your garments get wet, okay, you need to get them inside and get them dried off. The other thing too is if they get soiled, you need to clean them. All right, dirty garments can contribute to the onset of hypothermia and frostbite. Okay, so you need to get inside and get them clean and get them dried. Change your clothes as often as possible. And I know what I'm talking about, more or less people working in the field or outside. But a lot of people in construction trades wear them Carhartt heavy duty canvas jackets. I got 2 of them. No shame in my game. And they're great. But they have a tendency to get all kinds of yuck and muck on them. Come home, just hang them up, and then they put them on, go out the door the next day, and they wonder why the jacket's not keeping them as warm as it was before. Believe it or not, those things are constructed that they have to breathe a certain amount. You get them dirty and soiled, they stop breathing. Okay, the insulation underneath that heavy-duty cotton canvas gets dirty. Not to mention the inside, where you have sweated, perspired, and all kinds of nastiness has gone into the insulation from that side. So every now and again, you need to wash them big, heavy-duty, bulky winter coats. Make them last longer, and it'll help them continue to keep doing their job, which is keep you warm and fairly dry. Like I said, Carhartt makes good stuff. I don't take nothing away from Carhartt, but like everything else, you need to wash it and keep your clothes clean in the wintertime, folks. Likewise, same thing. You can get trench foot, you can get certain infections in your groin region because it's too wet. So Not only should you powder your feet, powder your private areas too with a good talcum powder. I'm not trying to be gross here, folks, but I'm trying to tell you, if you're going to be outside when it's real cold, these are some things that will help prevent cold weather injuries, because it is that time of the year. So waiting for traffic to get by so I can get out here on this road. Alrighty, here we go. Hold on to the show. But yeah, so anyway, folks, that's all I'm going to yap about today about cold weather injuries, and some things you need to be on the lookout for. If I've missed anything, folks, put it down in the comment section below for other viewers to read and be aware of. I'm only human, so I don't always remember everything. But put your comments down below if you're just now first time watching this channel. If you like what we're talking about, hit the like and subscribe button below and join us. We'd love to have you as part of the channel. Charities that I would ask people to help out: tunnelstotowers.org, Valor for Veterans, Pennant for Vets, and Folds of Honor. Vendors I'd ask you to support: Money Quick Pawn and Rayford Road here near Fayetteville, North Carolina. Robert's Custom Woodwork and Unsung Patriot. And likewise, if you like my poetry that I read, and you haven't got my books yet, they're available on Amazon. The links are below. Check out my t-shirts. I've got a Teespring site. Links down below. Go check out what I've got there. It's that time of year, Christmas. Get your sweetheart a hoodie or a t-shirt, and show your support for the old soldier. But until then, folks, God bless, take care, and we will talk to y'all later. Old Soldier out.